Hi there. The name of our talk is Participate or Perish. We are here to talk to you about the relationship between social media and human resources management. We are going to show you that this plane has already flown. You either need to get on board or miss the flight. We're not talking about the usual suspects like Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. What we're talking about is the role of social media as a tool in the field of human resources management and how to use it effectively. Meet Bob. He was born in 1971. He's a Gen X. He probably grew up owning a cassette player and thinks Dire Straits are cool, and his first connection with the digital world would have been email. At the present time, people from Bob's generation still occupy the majority of management positions. Bob is what we call a digital immigrant. Now meet Jane. Jane was born well after 1980, a Gen Y. She has never even seen a cassette player, has never heard of Dire Straits, and like the majority of individuals from her generation, she spends between 2 and 4 hours per day on the internet. Jane always carries a smartphone with her and would feel cut off from friends and miss out on a large part of life if not constantly connected to the internet. Jane and those born after her like Gen Z and the millennials are what we call a digital native. With technology moving so fast, it's hard for digital immigrants to keep up. So what has this got to do with the workplace? Currently, digital immigrants make up the majority of management positions. However, in the next few years, 80% of the workforce will be made up of Gen Y and millennials, the majority of which are digital natives. This is going to shape how organisations need to develop not only their communications, but also the behaviour that comes with these new tools. Unlike email and other forms of electronic media, social media tools create a virtual or parallel world. This virtual presence and constant connection will mean behaviours seen in the external social media world may be carried into the workplace. There can be some good things such as sharing of information and knowledge, allowing collaborative work, and building of organisational communities and culture. But there may be some not so great things. Employees might not be so effective if they can't use these tools. It could blur the lines between work and private life, and there may even be some undesirable behaviours which we'll talk a bit more about later. If we assume the natives will be setting the agenda, it is vital that the immigrants don't become excluded or they'll be left behind. To examine this further, we looked at how the use of social media tools in the workplace relate to some key HRM themes: workplace bullying, learning and training, recruitment and selection. Here are some of the key points we have discovered.
Work bullying is commonly framed within the context of job characteristics. Role stresses play a key part within a job characteristic that leads to bullying. Using job characteristics examples from the vitamin model, we can analyse ways in which bullying can be increased or decreased within social media tools at the workplace. The effects of job characteristics are like vitamins. Good vitamins lead to positive results, a lack of good vitamins lead to negative results. Applying this model to job characteristics could include high workload and role conflicts. If Bob's workload becomes too high, or if Jane's role conflicts with Bob's, there is an opportunity for them to use the social media platforms as a tool to channel bullying caused by these stresses. Another job characteristic from the vitamin model is environmental clarity. Bullying can occur when there is ambiguity around the use of social media at work and how this impacts each person's role. If there's no clarity around the social media environment, Bob could get offended by the casual tone of something Jane says, and in turn could respond with Bob bullying Jane. There are 3 job characteristics from the vitamin model that can help reduce the level of bullying within social media. The first being opportunity for control. The potential for bullying can be reduced if both Bob and Jane participate in the decision making on how social media should be used at work. The second is opportunity for school use. The potential for bullying can be reduced if Jane is allowed to use her social media skills in a positive way, such as training Bob and other colleagues. And the third way is availability of feedback. The potential for bullying can be reduced when clear feedback is given to both Jane and Bob on their use of social media within the work environment.
But what about learning and training? Whether Bob likes it or not, he and his cohort are now living in a digitally enhanced time with an incomprehensible amount of information now available online. The ability for all members of an organisation to successfully engage with social media is pivotal. However, there are some fundamental differences in how Bob and Jane will learn to use a new social media tool. Bob is likely to need singular tasks and instructions, information to be given in a logical and sequential way, information from limited sources and released slowly in a controlled way, text before pictures, sound or video. Whereas Jane will need parallel thinking, multitasking, information from multiple simultaneous sources of information delivered quickly, pictures, sound and video before text, hyperlinked multimedia information just one click away. As managers, we need to cater for these differences when designing our training programs.
And finally, recruitment. As Jane's generation moves towards becoming the majority of the workforce and into management roles, social media tools within an organization are vital to attracting digital natives. When used effectively, social media can contribute to aspects of a company that would attract someone like Jane. These aspects include access to technology, collaborative spaces, and comfort and flexibility within the company. But how does an organization find that person which fits their need? The use of external social media tools provides an efficient and effective way to gain company exposure, target an audience, and communicate with prospective employees. Social media is a cost-saving and time-saving tool that improves the balance between high performance, innovation, and value for the business and the internal workforce. However, research suggests strategic use of social media is not universal.
So, in conclusion, digital natives and post-digital natives, as the youngest cohorts in organisations, hold their own expectations that will increasingly diffuse in the workplace. This will inevitably result in some significant changes to communication and behaviour. Management should take an active role in the usage of social media by creating an adequate environment for community building, arranging the technical capability, and setting the rules of conduct. These rules need to be enacted in everyday practices, and managerial presence in social media environments should be obligatory. Setting the agenda of communication style and topics by taking part in everyday communication is a crucial leadership function. The integration of social media tools into organisations bring many opportunities, particularly with training, knowledge sharing, communication, and outside of the organisation with recruitment. But there are also threats, such as the natives leaving the immigrants behind and undesirable behaviours like bullying. The bottom line is, participate or perish.